Hi everyone, welcome back. So let's talk dip pens. In front of me I have 4 different dip pens. I do actually own another one. I remembered about it this morning. I've had it packed away for a little while, so I'll need to find that. And it is a feather quill dip pen. Yeah, I haven't used it for a while, but I'll have to find it and pop it into a future video when I do my fountain pen collection video. So when I first fell down the rabbit hole of fountain pens and inks, I didn't own a dip pen. So I was in one of our discount stores one day and I came across this pen. So it was just a cheapy $7.99 glass dip pen. Came in with a little plastic sleeve for over the top to protect it. And it came in this little like toothbrush sort of holder protector, which is good. You know, it keeps it from breaking. Not really fussed on the colour. I'm usually more into clear when it comes to these ones. If I had one, I would have definitely chosen that. However, in saying that, it's quite pretty. It's just really not my vibe, this red and this blue, but it does the job. So I've been using that for quite some time, and it's been working fine. So that is actually a Pastime Crafts brand. Just at a cheapy store, so I think it's an American brand, I'm not quite sure. $7.99. So then the next pen that I bought was this Pilot one. It's a steel nib. It's a fine nib, so I'll just show you that a bit closer, and I probably should have shown this one a little bit closer as well. Okay, so we all know how bad I am at pronouncing Japanese words. So I'm not even sure if I should give this a go until I've practiced my Japanese more. But it's a Yutushi, I think, dip pen. Now, I really like this pen. I think it works really well. And also I love the look of it. So it's just clear acrylic, but my desk is full of acrylic things. I have acrylic drawers, acrylic ink sample stand, acrylic pen holders, and the rest of it is like black, white, gold, so brass or gold, and you know, this just fits in really nicely with everything that I have, so you know, and it, or even with the greys, so it just blends really nicely with my whole aesthetic that I have happening on my desk. So I do like it for appearance wise, but it does write quite well. As I said, it's a fine nib. So, and I only paid $9.95 for this pen. So very, very affordable pen if you wanted to try something like that. The third one that I have on my desk, well, the third and the fourth, I actually have received within the last week. So I have been looking at these. So this is the Kakamori dip pen, and it has, the one I got has a beautiful brass nib, also comes in a stainless steel nib. I chose the brass nib because most of the feedback that I was hearing was that it was smoother, and I like a smoother rider, so I chose that. And then the nib holder is Japanese cherry wood, and I got it in the natural. There is another colour, I can't remember what it is. So these actually come as 2 separate pieces. So the nib just pops out like that, and it actually has, if you can see, like a little groove that goes right round there, and then the bottom of the nib just pops straight into there. Really, really simple. And I believe that there are some other nibs that'll fit in here. I'm not quite sure which ones though. So this is quite a jump up in price but it's also a jump up in quality. So in Australia, this nib holder retails for about $49.95 Australian, and the nib $75.95. So the prices are going to vary depending on what country you're in, what retailer you buy it from, but you can see that's a considerable difference between these ones and this one here in price. But as I said, the jump in quality is amazing. I have used this a few times since I got it and absolutely love it. I did get some ink here on the wood and it just wipes straight off and it's not stained at all. It holds a lot of ink, which I'll show you in a moment when we swatch with it. So the last one that I have, this is a Moon Man brand, and it's just this cute little pen here. It's really adorable, and it's the purple case is just gorgeous as well. So I haven't used this one yet, so I'll be using it for the first time today, but this retails for about $35. Now there's more to this pen, which I'm about to tell you, but you'll see for the price, without having used it yet, for the price, this is amazing. So if it writes really well, this is probably one of the best purchases that I've ever made. So as I said, it $35, but with that, it also comes with a cap that screws on. So that helps protect your pen, obviously. But if you were to chuck this in your pen case or your pocket or anything like that, you've got that added protection, and great for travel as well. So I thought that was really good. So it's a screw cap, but then it comes in this little box. Good quality box too, and I like that it's really quite plain. And inside of it is a steel nib and a converter. So you can take off the glass nib, put the steel one on and use it as a dip pen, or pop the converter in, fill it up with ink and use it as a standard fountain pen. So the nib is a fine, but you know, if you're somebody fairly new to fountain pens, for $35 you can get a steel nib, a glass nib, a converter, have a full, you know, dip pen and a fountain pen. So I just think that's an absolute bargain. And even if you're not new to fountain pens, this is a really handy little tool to have that was so affordable. So, so far, super happy with that. And so we'll get and see, you know, how well it actually writes and whether it was, you know, really worth my $35. However, what we're going to do is I'm going to use this Pelikan ink. So this is the Brilliant Schwartz Brilliant Black. This bottle is 62.5 ml, so there's a lot in here. I purchased this from Officeworks, which is a stationery, you know, office supply chain that we have here. And I think I paid about $10 for this bottle, so that's really good value. And what's quite ironic is they don't even stock Pelikan fountain pens, but it's the only bottled ink that they stock that I've ever seen. So I don't know what the go is with that. They sometimes have Kaweco ink cartridges. They do stock a little bit of a range of fountain pens, but it can be a bit hit and miss. But they don't really sell a lot of accessories, and you'd never get something like this dip pen there. So let's get on and test each one of these pens and see how they compare. Now this black ink is one of my favorites. It's just, when it says it's brilliant black, it really is brilliant black. And you'll see that in a moment. So there's no shimmer to it. It's just a standard writing ink, but as I said, it's one of my favourites. So just got some cream rhodia paper here. I do like to swatch in my ink journal using, you know, white Tomoe River paper, but it does come up quite nice on this cream, and it's just a random piece that I had on hand. So let's get in and have a look. So I might zoom you in a little bit here just so you get a closer look at my writing sample. And hopefully I have a tendency to write messy when I'm filming versus when no one's watching me. So this, as I said, is a Pastime Crafts dip pen. So it's quite scratchy. Now I don't know whether the tip of this is damaged or whether that's just the pen. So anyway, but it still does the job. But yeah, it's just a bit scratchy on the paper, and I'm not a big fan of that. However, the more I write with it, it seems to be a little bit smoother. So maybe it's just a touch of the tip that's slightly damaged there. But it holds a fair bit of ink, so you can get a fairly good sample out there. Still lots of ink in there, so that's good. But yeah, a little bit scratchy for my liking. So we'll just clean that off and move on to the next one. So we'll test the Pilot one next. So you can see it's a lot finer because this is a fine nib. This is actually writes quite smooth, which can sometimes be surprising for me when it's a fine steel nib. Some I find scratchy, but it's not too bad actually. So yeah, that writes quite nice. Like I said, a little bit of scratch, but no big deal. So you can see the difference in those two there, and you can already see how beautiful and black that ink is. It's gorgeous. So if any of you have dip pens and you want to share your thoughts on the ones that you have, I'd love to hear about the different ones that everybody has. There's I'm sure hundreds out there. Every company seems to have them. They all seem to have different ones. So I'm sure all of our experiences can be quite different. So I'd love to hear if you've got any of these and what you think, or any of the others, and what do you use your dip pens for? I use mine mainly for swatching in my ink journal, you know, testing any new inks or samples that I get. I don't tend to use them for other things unless I'm working on like an old world sort of document that I'm creating, maybe like an old world map, some drawings maybe. I can sometimes use them, but it's mainly for swatching. So I'd be interested to hear if you're using them for other things. So let's have a look at this particular pen. I've heard is really good for lettering, for, you know, bigger titles and things like that. So Now this holds a lot of ink. So now you can see how broad of a stroke that is compared to the other ones. Now the other tip with this is the more upright you hold it, the thinner it writes. The more you angle it, the thicker the stroke that you're going to get. So this is a Kakamori dip pen, and it's beautiful. It's like butter on the page. It writes so beautifully. It's really, really super smooth. Now, I'll show you how, if you were to hold this upright and then start to angle it, and the further you angle it down, the thicker the stroke that you get. So another tip that I've been told is, you know, if you turn your pen as you're writing, you'll actually be able to get the ink from all different parts of the pen. So it holds a lot. I've seen people write like a whole page with one dip with this pen. I haven't tried that yet, but apparently lots of people have done it, and you can still see it's just still flowing out of there really, really nicely. And it is smooth like butter. The paper helps, obviously, but you know, it's such a smooth write. I absolutely love this pen. So definitely worth the money that I paid. So I'll just show you again. We'll try on that. Angle it just another little bit. Keep angling it down. And then you're getting that different line variation. So I'm sure I could sit here and keep writing for quite some time before it absorbed all of that ink. So yeah, it's a beautiful pen. Definitely worth the money. Probably the only one that I will use to swatch in the future. But we'll see what this next one does, and I might have to share with that. Okay, so the last one's the Moon Man. So let's dip that in and see how this one writes. Okay, that is super smooth. It's about as smooth as this one, the Kakamori. So I'm really, really shocked with how smooth it writes. It holds a fair bit of ink. Not scratchy on the page at all like this other glass dip pen. So it's actually, yeah, quite a nice little pen. So definitely worth the money. Okay. Still lots of ink in the nib, so we could go on for quite some time, but we won't. But yeah, that is really smooth, and you can still see there's a decent amount of ink left there. So overall, I think my thoughts are on all of these pens that this one I'll be retiring. If I know somebody that doesn't have a glass dip pen and they're sort of just starting to delve into it, I may give it away to them if that situation arises. Otherwise, it'll probably just go away in a drawer somewhere and probably never to be seen again. This one I think I will continue to use for different things. I definitely won't be putting it away. I do like it. It's fairly smooth, not too scratchy, but great to have a steel nib dip pen on hand, so I'll be keeping that one out. This is my absolute favourite. Absolutely love this pen, and we'll be using this for all of my swatches in the future. And yeah, love this one as well. These two probably the best purchases that I've ever made. Or two, oh, I shouldn't say that because I have too many favourite actual fountain pens and inks, but you know, these both worth the price that I paid for them, and will definitely be using them both quite a lot when it comes to my swatching. So yeah, so these three get to stay, and this one will be packed away. So just another close-up look for you so you get an idea. But that black, I know this video is not about the ink, but it's just beautiful. But you can see, just love that line variation that you get with the Kakamori dip pen. It's fantastic. But they all write quite well. So there you go. So that is my little delve into dip pens. As I said, I'd love to hear what you all have, what you think of different dip pens out there on the market. Do you use them? What do you use them for? And so forth. So yeah. Okay, everyone. Thanks for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks. Bye.